Hello, I'm Richard with Seller Helper, verified Amazon advertising consultant. I'm going to continue the brand offense series that I've kind of been developing over the last couple of weeks. This week I am tackling display brand offense. Just a couple of things before we get into it. I am not going to cover the specific targeting style in a lot of depth because I explained that in the sponsored products, product advertising video from last week. So if you want to get a little bit more detail on the specifics of that advertising, you can watch that video. This one, I am mostly going to cover settings and briefly targeting, and then kind of strategy that I'm currently testing out and using that I think works pretty well. But the specifics of targeting, like I said, will be in last week's video, so you'll have to watch that if you want to get a little bit more detail. So hopefully this will be a quicker video. I'm going to jump right into it. The first thing you want to do, obviously, is go to create a campaign, and we are going to create a sponsored display campaign. So just like any other campaign, you name it and you name your ad group. For budget, I like to start these out conservatively, maybe around $20, $30, depends on your particular budget for advertising as a whole, but you will be bidding semi-aggressively here, so it's good to have a decent budget, like $20 or $30 starting out. That way you can get enough clicks to hopefully get some sales. Then as we scroll down, the settings you really need to pay attention to here are your optimization strategy. For one version of this, you can use the reach optimization strategy, and for another version of this, you use the conversions strategy. I will explain the difference in a second. One thing you definitely don't want to use, I've tried this, I don't think it works very well. I've had it work briefly at the outset and then kind of lose impressions and basically not function very practically after a few weeks. So I always turn this cost control off. Like I said, I've not had it be very long-term successful. It doesn't seem to perform as well as just managing the bids on your own and sort of optimizing on your own. I think that about most of Amazon's automated bidding optimization. I just don't think it works that great. I've tried it a lot. Maybe they'll get it figured out at some point, but so far I have not been impressed, and so I don't use it, and I don't recommend using it. So now that you've gotten those selected, we'll start with the reach. I have also tried image and video. I've not found video to be especially useful. You can give it a shot if you want. I recommend pretty short videos. A lot of the videos you would use for your regular video campaigns might be 30 seconds, 45 seconds. For this, I would use something like 10, 15 seconds tops. So just to give you an idea of what you're thinking here with the video. But again, I tend not to use it. I have used it. I have not been that impressed with it. And I don't think it works so much better than just doing the image. And as far as landing page goes, you can do either the Amazon store or the advertised product page. I do the advertised product page most often because the product that I am advertising is usually the top seller in the category, whatever product you have in that category. So if you have products across lots of categories, I would not put them all in one of these campaigns. I would put them in their own dedicated campaign. And then we will go down to choose your product. And this is where a distinction between the type of targeting we want to use in this campaign with the reach style versus the conversion cost per click style of campaign goes. In reach, you're paying for impressions. In the conversion optimization strategy, you're using clicks, cost per click. So you're going to be bidding a little bit differently. We're starting with reach. So the first thing I do is, number one, I remove everything that's in there. I don't like the retargeting. I don't think it works very well. I've tried it a lot. A lot. And I just don't think it works so well. So when we're doing reach, you can use the refined category like we used for product targeting, but it tends to spend a lot when you're using reach. It used to work really, really well. It doesn't work so well anymore. So I would recommend actually using individual product ASINs. You can use the refined category to target specific brands, but I have found that targeting individual ASINs has actually produced slightly better results, a little bit easier to optimize through removal of the particular ASIN as opposed to trying to add negative targets, because in reach optimization, you can't actually use negative targets. So moving forward, this is the strategy that I use individual ASINs, and the bidding that I like to do in this type of campaigns is where it's going to be kind of important to decide how much risk you want to take. If you're comfortable taking a lot of risk and spending a lot to test out ASINs, you can start out with something like $8 or $10 or even more depending on the cost of your product. If you're high ticket, you can spend a little bit more, you can bid a little bit higher and be okay. What I have found to be a better option to just kind of get things going and build up is start that bid really low. Start it at $1. The reason I do that now is just because I've done it the other way, and I found this is easier to control for me. And if I don't start seeing the kind of impressions that I want, or the spend, or whatever, the clicks, the conversions, I will just add $1. And then if I still don't see them, I'll add $1. That's basically the way I bid this. Is I just kind of keep increasing my cost per 1,000 impressions by $1. You have to bid at least $1, but I increase it as needed until I kind of hit that zone where I'm getting enough impressions on ASINs and I'm not running so much spend through the campaign that I'm hurting my performance overall. So that's kind of the way to handle the reach optimization, is start your bid low and kind of work your way up. So next, we're going to switch to the conversion. Now, for the conversion optimization strategy, I do bidding a little bit differently. I actually start these bids out more aggressively. And again, you can, with this targeting, especially with conversions targeting, less so with reach, it's probably okay to use the refined category strategy to target specific brands. But I have also, again, found that in some cases, the individual ASINs with, say, starting with a $2 or $3 bid is actually the better route in terms of overall performance. I think both are viable with conversion optimization. It's probably a good idea to test both. And for me personally, I do use both. The reason I've started doing individual ASINs as opposed to refined brand targeting is that lately the refined brand targeting has been unreliable and inconsistent. So I have switched to specific ASINs that I want to target because, again, it makes it a little easier to optimize by removing ASINs that don't convert. And just like before, you don't want to add too many brands or too many ASINs into the display campaign. You'll run into the same issue as before with sponsored products, where some of them will get a lot of spend and some of them won't, and you'll just have this never-ending leak of spend across so many targets that it's hard to control. With display, you can get away with using more targets, but I probably wouldn't go much past 50 targets at any one time. It does still get challenging, especially if you're using reach. If you're using reach, keep it very limited to the 10 to 12 brands or ASINs. If you're using the conversion cost per click, you can get away with a few more just because you probably won't get as many impressions in the campaign. And that's really it. The display is pretty simple. I like it a lot because you can cheaply get impressions and you can cheaply get clicks. Even your expensive clicks can sometimes convert really, really well depending on how you're targeting. I like this as a launch strategy for products, and it's really good at brand offense. This is the phase 1.2 of the brand offense strategy that I use. These are really easy to set up and they're pretty easy to optimize because it's less about the specific bid and a lot more about just optimizing the targets. You want to keep the number of targets fairly conservative in this type of campaign, especially if you are using reach. If you're using reach optimization, you will spend a lot of money if you're not careful, so be careful. But I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions or need help with Amazon advertising, you can always reach out to me on the website or directly through email.